Okay, let's begin with Surat Al-Ikhlas. Kul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad. What does this mean? Well, what does ahad mean? According to the widely held view in Sunni tafsir, as reported by Professor Lombard, the meaning of ahad and the meaning of ahadiyah is a absolute oneness that is unique and cannot be divided. That means Allah is absolutely simple, which is what the Islamic philosophers believe. The Atharis do not believe that Allah is absolutely simple. They believe that Allah has real distinct attributes that are different from one another and different from Allah's essence. And although Jake didn't say it in his slides, he said it on his YouTube videos multiple times. So the God that the Atharis believe in is not Ahad, because Ahad means absolute simplicity. It's the same thing with Samad. What does Samad mean? Well, according to the Sunni tafsir tradition from Tabari and others, Samad refers to that reality which is one, solid, unchangeable, and monolithic. A monolithic reality is an absolutely simple reality, but the Atharis don't believe that. The Islamic philosophers believe that God is absolutely simple, but the Atharis have this weird thing. They say Allah's essence is uncreated, but it's not the same as Allah's uncreated foot, which is not the same as Allah's uncreated power. So the Athari God doesn't even meet the definition of Ahad or Samad. Furthermore, the Quran actually clearly teaches that God is absolutely simple and that God has no multiplicity within himself. How do we know this? Well, the Quran says that God is the creator of everything, every shay. The Quran says that every shay has been created as a pair. So every created thing contains zawjiyah or duality. The Quran says God is nothing like his creation. Laysa ka mithlihi shay'un. So God is absolutely dissimilar to everything in creation. And if everything in creation has duality, it means God cannot have any duality. But when the Athari comes and says that God has real entitative sifat that are distinct from his essence, the Athari has created duality within God, because a sifa and mausuf are not identical. They're codependent on one another. And this is the same teaching that Imam Ali, the first Imam and the fourth Caliph of Sunnis, teaches. He says you have to deny God attributes, that is, real distinct attributes. Now, the Quran actually nowhere teaches the Athari doctrine that God has real distinct attributes that are additional or distinct from his essence. What the Quran does talk about is the names of Allah, the descriptions, and the relations. But names, descriptions, and relations are not the same as ontological attributes. There is an Athari ta'wil going on here that they're not admitting to. So where does the doctrine of real distinct attributes comes from? Which again, Jake holds to this doctrine. It actually comes from the Christian doctrine of the Trinity. This is the finding of Harvard professor Henry Austin Wolfson. And in fact, we can go into detail on this. We can show you, according to many, many sources, we know that the Christian Arabs defined the Son of God and the Holy Spirit as two eternal divine attributes, such as life and knowledge, or knowledge and power. And the early proto-Atharis, like Ibn Kulab, learned this doctrine from the Christians, and they transformed the Christian Son of God and Holy Spirit into Allah's uncreated attribute of X and Y. So the Athari position on attributes doesn't come from the Quran and Sunnah, it comes from the Christian Trinity.